All right, we are back with State Representative Nate Schatzline and an incoming member. Will be there next year, Shelley Luther.
Hello.
To talk about the upcoming session, contract with Texas. I do want to talk a little bit about that, but first I have to say, Shelley Luther, you have had probably one of the most improbable paths to the Texas legislature over just the last 4 years and especially the last year. Tell us a little bit about what you've gone through and why that makes it even more important what's coming up next.
Well, before even being political at all, I owned that salon, and during COVID we were shut down, and then we decided to open up against the shutdown. I got thrown in jail for that, and so that kind of threw me into politics, which made me want to run for SD 30, the Senate district. We lost that. I ran again for HD 62, I lost that. And then about a year ago, I actually had a brain aneurysm explode in my head, and there's almost zero probability that I should have survived that, and I did. And then after a few months, told my poor husband that I think I'm supposed to run again. And honestly, wasn't even leaving my house at that time at all, sleeping hours, 18 hours a day still, but just knew in my heart that that is what I was supposed to do. God was telling me to do that. And so filed our name in December and won the primary in March. So we are now
taking out an incumbent, which is a really difficult feat normally. What was different now than 2 years ago? Was there a different feeling? Is there a different feeling among voters, you think?
It was totally different because the incumbent, a lot of the voters were not informed of what the incumbent was voting on. You know, they don't go back to the district and say, hey, I totally did the opposite of what you wanted me to do. They don't go back telling that to their incumbent. So unless they're really good at the research, they didn't know. So 2 years ago in the same district when we were knocking doors, people were like, no, we know that person. We go to church with that person. We're voting for them. And they weren't hearing it. This time, though, especially with the Ken Paxton impeachment, that's when we at least got them to listen. And then we started saying, well, did you know that your rep was the chairman of election integrity and he did not pass anything? And they're like, what? And so we got their ear finally. And when that happened, it was all of the other things, plus the endorsements. And we felt like we were going to win the entire time. It was amazing.
It's all coming together. And Representative Schatzline, as somebody who has been in the House, what did those March results feel like to those incumbents? Maybe not necessarily the ones that were even taken out, but certainly there must have been a discussion. This created waves amongst the people that will be coming back next time.
Well, it's not business as usual in the state of Texas right now.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. You know, we've got warriors like Shelley coming in, like Mitch Little coming in, like Andy Hopper, who we need to get across the finish line. And the reality is we have this entire, GOP caucus inside the Texas House. And the GOP caucus really should be called the Incumbent Protection Program because the reality is our dues don't go towards Republican policies. The dues that we pay as members, they don't go towards policies that are going to help in the sexualization of children, fight for parental empowerment, securing the Texas border. Oh, no. Our dues go towards fighting for people like the failed leadership team of Dade Phelan. And this is what we see, even your opponent, right? That's where our dues went. And so for us, we were fed up. And, there were a few of us that were fighting, and we're fighting hard, whether it's Steve Toth, Brian Harrison, Tony Tinderholt. And we just decided, I didn't vote for Dade Phelan last session. I'm probably never going to get the chance to vote for Dade Phelan this next session. But we decided I would rather risk it all to make sure that the future of Texas is stronger tomorrow. I don't care about our reputation. I don't care about what we have to put on the line. I don't care about getting bills passed in my name. What I care about is getting conservative warriors inside the Texas House so that our constituents can know for a fact that people are fighting for them, not the special interest groups inside of Austin.
So coming in now with all of this momentum, what does it mean to have it's one thing if you beat an incumbent, you're coming in as a new member. It's another whenever you have a group coming in together. And already you've got a whole group of new people. I can't even keep count. I think there's going to be even more on Tuesday's runoff. What does that mean to you, Shelley, being able to go through this with a number of people like, Michael Cott, Brett Money, et cetera, a lot of these guys with you?
You know, I hear the horror stories, and I've been hearing them for 4 years, that these guys get threatened anytime they go against what leadership wants. They'll say, we're going to have someone run against you. You're not going to get any donations. If you do that, you know, threatened all the time. But when there is a big group of us, it's a totally different story. So we're going to be like, okay, you bring it, but now there's 30 of us, or maybe there's 40 of us, and it's not going to be the same game that they're trying to play.
Right. Okay. So moving on to the contract with Texas, we just talked about this with some other lawmakers, other signatories onto the contract with Texas earlier. But Representative Schatzline, why now? Why is it important now to draw this line, even 5-6 months ahead of the next legislative session, to say this is what we want to see in a speaker?
You know, when I came into the Texas House, I was assured in my heart that Texas was the bastion of conservatism, that we were going to lead the way, that we were going to make Florida look bad because we were going to be so conservative. And then all of a sudden I get in and I realize, wait a second, even though we have a Republican majority, this is a uniparty running this city. This is a uniparty running this building. And so in a legislature where our failed speaker helped pass over 500 Democrat bills, our GOP priorities did not get passed, empowers social Marxists to be Democrat committee chairman in the process of looking at all that we did this last session, the failed, sham impeachment of Ken Paxton, who is now back in his rightful place as the greatest attorney general we've ever had in the state of Texas. And we just realized enough is enough. It's time to stop accepting these things. We need to expose it. And I'll tell you something, Brandon, it really isn't about doing something different. It's just about exposing it to the grassroots and letting them know it's happening. I mean, even your opponent, I don't think your district knew what the corruption that was going on inside the building. And so this contract with Texas, it's going to do three things. Number one, it's going to set a new standard for members coming in and saying, if your rep has not signed the contract with Texas, ask them why. And it's time to pressure them into going in and telling us why they won't align with the grassroots. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to bring transparency and remove the centralization of power. And then the third thing is we've got runoffs going on right now, and it's going to create a dividing line between those a part of the uniparty and those that are actually ready to do the bidding of their voters. And we're really excited about it.
Yeah, last question to that end. What are your predictions for what's going to happen on Tuesday's runoff elections?
I hope they all win, actually. And with some of the polling that we've seen, it looks really good. I know that we need to close our primaries. That's a big deal. And the only thing that sort of concerns me in the speaker's race, or what I would say is Dave Covey's race, I'm concerned for the Democrats. That's the only way that he could win that, because right now the Republicans in that district have had enough, and the gig is up on that for sure.
Yeah. I'll say this, we saw, like you said in the primaries, a record number of incumbents go down and conservative fighters stand up. I'm believing that we're going to win every one of these runoffs, but my commitment, I believe Shelley's too, is even if we don't win one, we're going to go fight the way that we fought last session and the way that we promised the voters that we're going to fight going in. And if it's 25, 30, 40 of us, or if it's 15 of us, or maybe people dwindle down and it's 10 of us, we don't care. We're going in because we've made a commitment to the voter. And the reality is our GOP priorities are our priority. We're getting in there, and we are going to fight for those things regardless of who's against us. And when the liberal leadership team rises up, our commitment is we're going to shine a light on it, because the greatest disinfectant is sunlight. So we're going to shine a light, speak the truth, and fight for truth.
Yes, absolutely.
I'd love to say one thing. Yeah. I ran 3 campaigns, and for 3 campaigns, my push card that I went and talked to voters with has stayed the same. You want to know why? Because the Republicans don't pass any conservative legislation. I did not have to change my push card at all. Wouldn't it be nice if after this session, we come back and we're like, oh my gosh, I actually have to print a different push card because we did all the things that you actually asked for. Why is that so much to ask? So that's my promise to you as someone that actually has the real fear of God in me, and I know you do too, Nate, the reverence. Someone that should be dead right now. You think that I'm going to come back and not do what I said I'm going to do? I cannot wait to come back, look at my voters, and look at the people from Texas, and look them in the eye and say, I did what I said I was going to do, and I'm so proud to do that for you.
Excellent. Shelley Luther, Representative Nate Schatzline, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you.